Thursday, April 14th, 2016. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. There was a strong earthquake of about 6.9 on the Richter scale. Initial reports had it at 7.1, but the USGS now says it's 6.9. That struck northern Myanmar. It's been felt in parts of eastern India and Bangladesh as well. It struck about 250 miles north of the capital of Myanmar. Residents in the country's main city, Yangon, formerly known as Rangoon, panicked after the tremble, people rushing out into the streets. Some 250 miles away in the Indian state of Kolkata, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, William and Kate, were awakened in the middle of the night, as were journalists who were traveling with them and evacuated from the hotel for open ground. There have been no reports of damage in Myanmar yet. However, in Kolkata, one of India's biggest cities, people are reporting seeing cracks appearing in buildings following the quake. It was also felt in the capital of Bangladesh, in Dhaka as well. The European Union this morning approved new data protection rules aimed at strengthening online privacy. The rules will, for the first time, create a strong data protection law for Europe's 28 countries and 500 million citizens. There will be a right to be forgotten, meaning that consumers can ask for non-essential information to be deleted from web searches, such as from Google. And the rules also state that individuals must give their clear and affirmative consent before private data is processed by companies or governments. This became very important after leaks 2 years ago, courtesy of Edward Snowden, allegedly showing widespread U.S. government snooping on European data, such as phone calls and emails. There also were provisions made for streamlining data transfers between police and judiciary entities, helping to improve anti-terrorist security. 2 Russian warplanes in the Baltic Sea have buzzed a U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyer in what American defense officials are saying was a simulated attack. The USS Donald Cook was conducting flight operations with a Polish helicopter on Monday when 2 Russian Su-24 attack aircraft approached at an unsafe speed. The 2 Russian jets made as many as 20 passes of the destroyer during the incident, ignoring repeated radio calls from the destroyer to cease and desist. The U.S. Navy is planning to release photographs and videos of the incident, possibly as early as today. The release of the so-called Panama Papers and the treasure trove of information on private banking information that came out with it could have implications for the insurance and reinsurance industry. The law firm in Panama, Mossack Fonseca, which saw its data security breached, according to Paul Bergman, a former counsel in the reinsurance broking sector, said the implications for connected industries and financial services are only now beginning to be considered. He said in the UK, the Financial Conduct Authority issued a deadline on its banking sector to report back within a week any information connecting their businesses with the law firm in Panama, while Wall Street Journal reports earlier this week suggest hundreds of companies and individuals in the U.S. could be implicated in the leaks. One of the interesting points that Bergman raises is that there is probably only going to be one cyber incident and that there was only one breach from Mossack Fonseca. However, what's discovered as a result of that incident could, Bergman speculated, lead to numerous kinds of situations similar to the Bernie Madoff scenario, which then of course implicates significant insurance exposure. According to Bergman, for insurers looking at their potential exposures in relation to the Panama Papers, this is going to be a considerable challenge without a means to automate checks on reinsurance contracts. He said an average reinsurance contract is 90 pages long with dozens of potentially risky clauses, and exclusions must be carefully analyzed if underwriters want to quantify their exposures. The flooding that we mentioned yesterday that was on tap for the Arabian Peninsula occurred. 2 people were killed in flooding in southwestern Saudi Arabia and 18 were injured in Yemen. The Bank of England warned that a British exit from the European Union would create extended uncertainty and likely hurt the British economy. This is the strongest warning yet from the body that sets British interest rates, and comes just 2 days after the International Monetary Fund warned that the global economy could suffer if Britain votes to leave the EU in the June 23rd referendum. Surprisingly, the British political leader Jeremy Corbyn, who's the head of the Labour Party, in a speech yesterday in London, said, "You can't build a better world unless you engage with the world." He urged young people to make sure they registered to vote to keep the UK in Europe in June. He said the UK had been assisted by the European Union to underpin investment, jobs, and protections for workers, consumers, and the environment. Interestingly enough, David Cameron, of course, the Conservative leader, who's also the Prime Minister, supports staying in the EU as well, publicly thanked Jeremy Corbyn for his words. Corbyn, however, said that his reason for trying to stay in the EU was that he said that a Conservative government would take advantage of a British exit to slash for protection for workers in a, quote, bonfire of rights. So his thinking is that if they stay in the EU, the English worker is going to be better protected. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.